Hey, welcome to Zack of All Trades. Today, I'll be making a pair of snowshoes. Now, you may be rightly asking, Zack, what on earth do you need a pair of snowshoes for? And that's a fair question, but don't get carried away. We'll get to that. I'll take you on an adventure. I'll show you the whole thing. Your questions will be answered. But the fact remains that I need a pair of snowshoes. And when I came upon this need, I did what every good penny pincher would do. I went straight to Craigslist to see if anybody was giving away a pair of snowshoes. And guess what? In this lovely temperate climate where I live, nobody was giving away a pair of snowshoes. So I do the next best thing. I did what Zack does, and I set out to learn how to make my own set of snowshoes. I came across something in this research that is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, it works really well for this plan for snowshoes that I'm making, but also if you're building stuff out of PVC, just any stuff out of PVC, this is amazing, amazing. So yes, we are going to be building a set of snowshoes out of PVC pipe. First, we need a jig. Here's the finished product, the jig. All it is just some super thin plywood, stapled, heavily stapled, onto the back of my, my form here. And so that I get a little bit of curve in my snowshoe, I've got this little rib, I guess maybe you'd call it. I'm sure there's a proper technical term for it, but anyway, this curved piece of wood. So that's what I've got. I'm going to put this here on my work surface, also known as a table saw, and then I'm going to heat this PVC up, and I'm going to lay it all on there, and hopefully, with any luck at all, we'll have an amazing, perfect replication of this. Now, here comes the brilliant part, the part that I wish that I would have come up with: heating the PVC pipe. How are you thinking about doing it? You're probably thinking put it in the oven, or maybe a heat gun, something like that. Or maybe you've already seen this trick and you know what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take hot sand at about 550 degrees, and I'm going to fill up the PVC pipe with it. After about a half a minute, that PVC pipe should become about as pliable and as flexible as rope. Then I'll go ahead and put it on here, and it'll be done with. Let's see if it works like that. All right, full disclosure, this will actually be attempt number 3. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3. The first couple of times, I'm still learning how to use my little wireless mic setup here, and well, my battery had died, and so the first 2 attempts, you got the visual, but there was 0 sound, which is actually probably better off that way. There were some things said that I couldn't really show. This is a family program, so so it's probably better off that it cut out on me. So I learned a couple of things in that process. For one, you gotta have your pipe supported by something, because if you just hold it up and pour the sand in, as it starts to soften it up, it will bend and it'll just kind of kink, and you get a spot right there where the sand won't go further past, and then it's just a mess. In fact, I can show you an example of said mess. There we go. Here's part of what I came up with. Real bad stuff. Didn't work very well at all. The other thing that I noticed, if you have a funnel with a small hole in it like that, it's going to slow everything down, and so I would recommend not using something like that. The whole reason why you need to have a pretty good slope, I guess, is to get it down there quick also. I had it at about this angle. As the sand runs down the pipe, it's losing its heat. So by the time it gets down to the bottom, it's not even warm enough to soften up the PVC pipe. So it didn't start actually softening it up until about halfway up is where the sand had retained enough heat to actually do that. So I've done a couple of things. I'm using, I don't have it because it's in the oven. I'm using a thicker, a little bit coarser grained sand. I'm thinking that will maybe hold the heat a little bit better because there's a little bit less surface area. I don't know if that'll work or not. And the other thing is that I've got well, you can't really see it here. Come on, this is YouTube. You got to show people stuff. I've rigged up what I believe to be a much better funnel. Well, kind of better in that it's bigger. Let's do a little comparison here. Which one of those is gonna get some stuff in there the quickest, right? Yeah. So although it's not very big, I don't have a big catch for it. I think it'll work all right. I did a couple of dry runs with it. I said a moment ago about the coarse sand that it'll have less surface area. Obviously, coarse sand has more surface area, but as it's running down the pipe, there will be less of it in contact with the pipe and losing heat. So hopefully all those things combine to make this successful, and let's give it a try. All right, here we go. All right. It's not as soft quite as I had hoped. Try number 3 is a failure. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. It's doing the same thing. It's nice and pliable up here, but it's not pliable down towards the bottom. Back to the drawing board. Okay, here goes the next try. I've got my system streamlined a little bit. I've got a better funnel. There you go. Now you can see my funnel on a little bit of an elbow so that I have to do less gyrations to get the sand into the pipe. I've got the sand, I think I've got it much hotter. It seems as though if you stir the sand inside the, whatever it is, the Dutch oven in my case, if you stir it, it heats more evenly. Duh, why didn't I think about that? So it's possible that I might be able to get it in one shot, but what I'm kind of planning for, I've got another bucket down at the bottom of the pipe. If I put the sand in there and it only softens the top half, I'll pull the plug on the bottom, let all the sand run out, put the plug back in, and put a new fresh batch of hot sand. I've got plenty to do that, and hopefully I'll be able to get it done that way. And what you cannot really see is that I've got my Dutch oven sitting on a burner, a little propane burner right now. So it's keeping my sand hot, hopefully. That way if I need to redo this, my sand will be hot and right here. Bending nicely up here. So I think, just in order to make sure that I get it done well, I think I will just go ahead and plan to dump the sand out the bottom end, put a new batch in, and then it ought to be nice and soft. More sand, quickly. Uh-oh. Oh, that's hot. Holy smokes. Oh, hot sand in my sleeve. Yikes. Wasn't quite ready for that. All right. About as soft as a rope. Now what we got to do is let it cool down. I think we finally succeeded. All right, it's been about 10 minutes or so. This thing has had plenty of time to cool down. The video that I saw before with somebody else doing this, pretty much as soon as they got it in the form, they pulled the plug out of the end and drained the sand out, which makes sense. It's going to make it cool down a lot quicker, but my setup didn't quite lend itself to that, so I just let it sit and do its thing. So let's peel this off. This is the first time I'm peeling it off here. Let's see how we did. All right. Yeah, here, let me back this up a little bit. I think this is going to work just fine. Huh? How about that? All right, let me get the sand out of this thing, and well, really, what do I have to do next? So I guess I gotta see if I can straighten out this poor failure of a piece of pipe. See if I can make it straight so I can make the next one. And much to my surprise, and probably yours as well, here's the second one. Check that out, huh? Turned out arguably better than the first one. And the cool part about it was, the surprising part to me was, I wasn't even intending to put it on the mold just yet. I was still just trying to get this stupid thing straightened out, get the pipe re-straightened after bungling it all up before. And I noticed that the whole thing was soft enough, so I went ahead and threw it on the jig here. And now I have two of them that are just the same. The next thing we got to take care of are these crossbars, right? You got to have some solid attach points for, I don't know, some of the webbing or lanyard or, yeah, all these terms about this. So I was pretty dead set that I was going to do this with PVC, some of the ends and pieces and scraps. And also that would allow me to kind of keep with the PVC motif, if you will. But the more that I thought about it, this is about what it would be like. The more I thought about it, though, the more that it occurred to me, in order to screw in to these, I'm going to have to put a little plug of wood or some sort in there. And with PVC, it's not much, but I've got a little bit of flex. So with wood, if I cut it right, I can just screw in to the wood. I can put two screws in the wood, and there's no flex. I mean, you know, there's some flex, but not as much as there would be with the PVC. So I hope that I don't regret this decision, but I think that I'm going to go with the wood for the crossbars about here. I know it looks funny on the camera there. That looks straight on camera. I'm gonna go with it there and about there. I've just been poring over pictures of other people's snowshoes and just kind of figuring out the proportions, and this looks about right. So I'm gonna move forward doing wood ones. here we go. Look at that, would ya? Yeah, I can feel it already. Slogging across the Alaskan tundra. Well, I guess I wouldn't be on the tundra on snowshoes. Anyway, here we go. This is the final product shape anyway, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really excited with how it turned out. That whole shaping the PVC, what a cool process. It really allows for shaping, I don't know, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that can be made out of PVC, and that's a pretty good way to do it. The few things that I learned were to make sure that you have extra sand ready, especially if you're doing a long piece like this. These were each 10 feet or 10-foot lengths, so by the time that the sand was getting to the bottom, it was kind of cooling off. So I had to put, drain it out. You saw that. Drain it out and put more sand in. A couple of things that I did that I'm not sure that you really saw very well, or wanted to explain why anyway. So I put a plug, a solid plug in here, and that was for that screw, so that screw would have something to bite on. This plug right here is just as much for looks and keeping bugs out as anything. It's only just a little short plug. Just stops right before that screw. Screws, by the way, look at this. Look at this nice stainless hardware. Yeah, courtesy of the Giving Trailer, as are these crossbars all the way around the Giving Trailer as well. So a couple of real quick things, some whys, why I chose which style and size and tails and all that other stuff. I don't know, I just like the look of the traditional Alaskan-esque style. I think they just look like snowshoes, so that kind of dictated the shape. The tails is actually kind of a cool thing. I did a little bit of reading as to why snowshoes have tails on them, and I learned that they're actually functional. It's not just the end of the wood or the end of the shoe. It is, as you track along, when you lift up, you're going to be lifting up about here. This tail just hangs behind, and it acts as a little bit of a, I don't know, I don't want to say anchor, but a little bit of an anchor, and it keeps the shoe tracking straight. It keeps it from wobbling all over the place because this stays in contact with the snow. So it kind of makes sure that tail is directly behind you. So I went with tails, and what was the other thing I was going to tell you about? Oh yeah, the width. I made them 12 inches wide, and the reason behind that is kind of silly, but you got to have a reason for stuff, right? So here's my water ski case. Bag. There we go. My water ski bag, which I don't use very much these days. And I'm getting ready to, as you know, go on this adventure. Yeah, I'm going somewhere. So in my luggage, I wanted to be able to stuff my snowshoes in my water ski bag and still have them about as wide as I could. So 12 inches, there you go. 12 inches is about as wide as I could make them and still fit in my water ski bag. I wanted to have as much flotation as possible, so I wanted them as wide as I could. I feel like I'm rambling, so I feel like this video has gotten pretty long. I don't know how much I'll be able to cut it down, so I'm going to go ahead and chop it off right here. The next part will be stringing up the webbing, which, like this whole process, I've never done before. So we're going to do the whole netting stuff in there. I'm going to try to do that in the traditional sort of style. I'm not going to use rawhide, but we'll get to that in the next video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, especially if you're still here at this point. And if you are, check back real quick for the next part. Thanks for your time. I'll see you again real soon.